too small of a hitbox to reach. Trust me, I am not even close to getting the angle to break it. And for once, Wi-Fi's didn't leave anything behind, except for empty item frames, but those can't set off observers even if I could reach them, which I can't. I got so far, but this one simple observer is my downfall. I can't update it from back here. Well, update. Come on, Ken, think. And update doesn't mean break. I just have to change it. The way the crawl glitch worked was by placing another dripstone, which changed the first one from the block state tip to the block state frustum. I never had to break it, did I? I just have to place my own dripstone below it. And how am I going to get it in there? I wasn't sure for a while, but I've already shown the solution. Inverse place mechanics. The first thing I tried was placing a button under the nose of this villager-looking thing, and I just barely couldn't get the angle to place the dripstone. But while I was wondering if there was a better way, the face gave me a hint. Oh, wait. The banner. Yeah, it's like the perfect shape for this, because I can place the dripstone up against the side of like a wall banner, and the wall banner would just have to go here, which I can do. They are going to be useful after all. Hey, perhaps it's an omen foreshadowing to this moment? Whatever. This ended up being a lot easier, because if I right-click the hanging banner here, it'll place the dripstone off to my left, as weird as that looks, but it'll update the one above it, giving me the water flow I need to finally escape. Let's do it. I heard the device get set off, and I quickly broke my own banners to preserve them. I knew one of them would fall into the hopper recall system, so I ran to the hopper output and waited impatiently for it to appear. I booked it as soon as I had all my items and swam up the... Whoa. That was short. Seriously? All that work, and I simply wasn't fast enough. But you wouldn't be watching this video if I gave up there. I genuinely did think I messed up, but I can tell you one more fact about the frustum. It's bigger than a tip, and a tip sitting formerly fully behind was now a dripstone of a different kind. Its hitbox dipped within range to be mined. Alright, call me reckless, but after rewinding the footage, I should have enough time to break the top dripstone and collect it from the hoppers. I know waiting for the item recall was technically what messed me up, but last time I wasted time mining banners, so this should work. I took the dripstone as soon as they appeared in the hopper, booked it for the water stream, and... not even close. Actually, that was pretty close. This escape room was brutal, but finally, I made it to the nether portal. Though the unknown of the nether scared me, it turns out that the original portal must have been destroyed by this gas, and the one I came in was the exit portal lit by Wi-Fi's as part of the puzzle. That's another room I don't have to worry about solving. So I got back up using the dripstone I was very glad I spared earlier. And, wow. Hours ago, I thought I was on the precipice of confronting Wi-Fi's, a devious fraud. And now, I'm about to rescue a Wi-Fi's who is incredibly oblivious, and I have no plan. Wish me luck. Wait, what? Wi-Fi's! No. I told the Wi-Fi's clone everything I knew, from watching the evil Wi-Fi's cheat and trap me in here, all the way to me getting back to this room. And I knew he was oblivious, but... how did you get here? This is a single-player world. How are you even here? He didn't even know it was multiplayer, and as usual, when you tell someone they're a clone created solely for content, he did not believe me. I'm another person. This is my single-player world. I can show you proof, but we'd have to get out. Do you have any leads? Sure, I had reached Wi-Fi's, but we were now in the same predicament. We still needed to beat the soft block. Maybe some combination of what we have might work, and it didn't before. Yeah, I'll just throw everything I have. Along with my redstone, armor stand, and dripstone, Wi-Fi's had a knockback 2 sword and a loyalty tribe. That's what he was using earlier to disarm the redstone torches, by bouncing them off of falling blocks onto the 6 pressure plates. Pretty cool, but he only got 3 out of 6 before, I guess he ran out or something, so we can't activate the mechanism until the last 3 torches are broken. Luckily, he's in a room with an escaping master. Now, I immediately noticed one useful item from each of our inventories, my armor stand and his knockback sword. Together, we could launch the armor stand onto one of the pressure plates and break the torch, and it's out of reach. That's my bad. It's fine. Since it was clearly impossible to trigger those pressure plates from way back here, I decided on the smarter thing. Just walk through this giant hole in the wall. Just kidding, it's made of barriers. But seriously, we should just find a crawl glitch to get through the window. We're 2 of the smartest Minecraft minds combined and have several items to work with. How hard could it be? Well, the first 20 minutes were spent scavenging the nether section. We tried bringing the dripstone I left behind, only to realize we can't crawl out with dripstone if there was nothing to hang it on, except this tiny tunnel where I can't get the right height. Then I learned that the nether puzzle apparently included a boat boat that Weefy's never told me about. A boat that would be perfect for escaping, but it was stuck in a wall behind a tiny gap. And trust me, we studied it longer than I want to admit. There was no way to get that boat without trapping ourselves in the boat cage. But the Nether gave us a big brain idea. If we were in different dimensions and one of us broke the Nether portal, then the other person could generate a brand new portal, which would be in here again. Okay, forget what I said about Big Brain. The next 30 minutes were spent back in the overworld fidgeting with the trident. It was definitely the most useful item. I noticed that when you throw it, it has this recoil that causes it to fly forward before it zooms back to you. I thought maybe we could graze the pressure plates with its return trip. It looked like it was getting close, but Weefy's reassured me that this was not remotely working. Is it getting close?
It's not really.
The trident really seemed like the key here, though, because Weefy's told me about a better use for it. In the Nether, he used it to redirect gas fireballs. In fact, that's how he lit the Nether portal, which led to the obvious next question. Can you redirect a fireball into the portal? Because if you can, we might be able to get this grindstone back. Cue the next 25 minutes of pain. Okay, so the reason I wanted the grindstone was because crawl glitches in multiplayer are super simple. You can just log off somewhere and have a friend place a block where your head was. That's it. But obviously, we had no blocks this whole time, so I wanted this one. Weefy's had a lot of practice with gas redirecting, so I watched in the overworld as he launched fireball after fireball and gave intel on the precise angle needed to hit the grindstone, miss after miss, until this happened.
Okay, that hit it, but it didn't break.
Yeah, it turns out grindstones are immune to gas fireballs, thanks Mojang. And as if hours of wasted time couldn't get worse, I suggested one fatal idea. I thought maybe if we could redirect a fireball perfectly through this window, we could maybe break the glass, the water would flow down, and disarm the torches. In hindsight, that wouldn't even work. I don't know, I was desperate. But as Weefy's went back to deal with the gas, he threw the trident without thinking and went into the Nether.
Wait, did you?
What?
I think we lost the trident.
Wait! Oh, I didn't even go through the portal!
With no one to return to, the trident just glitched out and went Mach 10 out the window. Our most important item was gone. Well, 99% gone. But 99% gone is still 1% here. We didn't realize it, but there was hope.
I don't know what it's doing, but okay, yeah, like every few seconds it gets closer to me. I wonder if it's gonna come back? I don't know why it's doing what it's doing. It'll go into the wind platform and then it'll go further away and then it'll come closer.
Is it still moving?
Yeah, it's kind of glitchy, but it's in one place.
And now, did it start to move?
Yes. Yeah, now it's moving a lot. Are you...
I think it's doing what I'm doing in the Nether. Because whenever you said it was standing still, I was standing still. I'm standing still right now. Is it moving?
No, it stopped.
I really couldn't believe it. Weefy's had just discovered a glitch that neither of us knew. I mean, it was an accident, but he still pieced together the logic, and it makes sense. The trident's trying to return to him, but it doesn't understand the concept of different dimensions.
Where are you going? Wait, go north. Wait, I want to see...
Okay, wait, I'm moving it north now. I had to go a little bit west, but I'm moving north.
Yeah, it's going north.
Now I'm going south.
And it's going south. Oh...
It's following what I'm doing.
Weefy's, you're actually thinking of portals. Wait!
That's insane.
We can use this. This is useful. Remember when we were trying to hit the pressure plates? We could, you're about
These are easy.
I'll go to the pressure plate.
Yeah, and there was the $1 million idea. We could guide it through the Nether and just have a trident floating around, activating the remaining pressure plates. But according to Weefy's, the equivalent coordinates to the pressure plates in the Nether was this.
This is as far east as I can go. The rest is just straight into a pit of lava. Am I close to it or no?
You have to go quite a bit further.
It's exactly where the lava is. There's no way I'll survive. I'm just gonna die if I jump down there.
You could disconnect it? No, you can't, because the trident will drop as an item.
I mean, yeah, unless we have another way to survive the lava, I don't see us using this trick. Plus, there's a gas there. I mean, we're stuck. I messed up when I was solving it. And now I don't think there's a way out. And I don't know what to do. This has never happened before.
Weefies? Yeah, I think I have a way. Do you know how deep it is?
Oh, actually, yeah, it's only a block deep.
I can do it then. Yeah, okay, come back. Give me the loyalty trident. Alright, you can call me ridiculous, but I have banners. You have the knockback sword. If you hit me far enough through the lava, I might be able to reach the spot. And then you just have to wait in the overworld and guide me to the pressure plates. Okay. If you want to see, it was about right there. It was like 10 blocks away.
Here, take this. It might help you survive if you light on fire.
Okay. How'd you do it? Like,
just that? Yeah.
Okay, do you see it?
Yeah. Oh my god, it's actually just floating there. Are you sure you want to do this?
We know this will work. I mean, we don't know this will work, but we know everything else doesn't. And
okay.
What else is there? Giving up?
No, of course not.
At least this one gives us a chance. Guess whenever you're ready.
3, 2, 1.
I'm alive.
Okay,
You got
I'm going back in.
Alright, go back.
I see it. Okay, yeah. You're almost there, actually. Just go east. 6 blocks east.
I'm alive. Look, every time I grab one of these spanners, I only have like a 20% chance of... Okay, I lost one. Please drop. Oh, right here.
I don't see the tribe. Oh, wait. You're like in it. Okay. One more block east and look at the pressure plate.
Thank goodness. Okay. This should be it. This has to be the block. Please.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
I got it?
You got it. You got hit the pressure plate. Okay, 2 more left. Just go straight east from there.
Right here.
Yes, you got it. Nice. One more.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, lost one banner.
Okay. You just have to go one more.
I lost another. We've used this. It's so simple.
We're so. I believe in you. You got this. I don't know how you got here, but if there's anyone that can help us with this escape room, it's you. There's no other way we get out. You have to go block east. You got this. You got it. You got it. I got a bed. Oh, we have to be able to get out now. Come back.
Wait,
Nice.
how am I getting back?
After disconnect glitching back to the lava cove and returning to the surface, I found out that the mechanism gave us a bed. Well, that's all we need. We were probably meant to set our spawn outside and die, but considering what happened last time I died, we needed a smarter way. And luckily, I knew about bed co-op crawl, where the heads of your bed and your friend collide. I did it to Weefy, setting him free, but getting myself out was a challenge. I knew I could do the same trick to myself with a lot of skill, but I was struggling under pressure and out of practice.
Do you have any other block? Wait, I have tons of pistons down here. I can just get these pistons.
Yeah, that would probably be easier than what I'm trying to do.
I have so many blocks. I can just get all of these. Here you go.
To think, only a couple hours ago, I came here to confront this person for being an idiot, and with our combined wit, we got out of a soft lock. That was it. We took the ladder to the exit platform, and we were out, despite everything. But I could tell this wasn't a happy victory for Weefies.
What happens after I win a map?
I mean,
I guess I just win the escape room and
you stop recording and then you go edit it, you know? Right?
no, but I don't remember doing that.
Have you ever stepped off the wind platform?
Well, no, it's void. Obviously, you can't just.
The last thing left to do was to fulfill my promise. I had to show Weefies what I saw. From memory, I saw the evil Weefies fly roughly in this direction, so we started searching. But walking off the wind platform came with an uncomfortable reminder. What happens after he completes it?
Well, what else? He gets shut down, and to the grinder he goes to make spare materials for the factory.
At some point, we had passed by a stockpile of every escape room he had ever played on his channel, but he had no memory of building them, nor stockpiling them together. Working with him to beat that soft lock, I think I cared a little more than I might have otherwise, how he'll feel when he learns what happens to the clones. Assuming we actually find evil Weefies out here, no one ever said it was easy finding the villain's lair.
You're saying there's another one of me inside this thing?
This started to seem more and more like a bad idea, and I didn't do a great job acting like I didn't know anything.
I don't know what this is, but if we're lucky, this is the proof I was looking for. Hang on, stay close to here.
What?
Just
Why? What? Is there someone here?
Just don't get too close to the window.
We can't even get it, can we?
We conserved resources.
Just in case, I wanted to scout ahead, so I suggested we split up and I took the faster route directly to that window. And right up this first staircase, I saw just about what I dreaded. There were more Weefies clones, alright, and it looked like they were in some kind of lab. Actually, at second glance, this looked like your classic Weefies-style puzzle room. These were some kind of test subjects or lab rats. They had player name tags, but seemed to be too brain-dead to be real people. In the next few rooms, I saw even more. I figured they may have been used in some way to train or test the clone's skills. I mean, what do I mean have been? They still are. And Weefies, well, my Weefies must have been the most recent model to qualify. Speaking of, he had just arrived in the lab as well.
Weefies,
Yeah?
up here.
Oh.
I don't think they can hear you.
Yeah, I don't think they can either.
And after at least giving them a chance to back out from this, we went up. There he was. The Wi-Fi finally confronted each other, and I started to panic. I wasn't in danger, but I was scared. Was the Wi-Fis that I had come to know and befriended about to be scrapped? And the other Wi-Fis talked about him like he was nothing, too stupid to be able to continue recording escape room videos. But when I thought about it, wasn't that kind of just me at the start of the video? Well, not quite. I wasn't trying to sort them into recycle bins, but it made me realize my opinions on Wi-Fis changed wildly throughout this video. Not the one that makes different iterations of himself for views, the one that actually had to do the problem solving. I thought so little of him before, when he was just a target on my screen, but even though he is just a clone, he has become one of the most respectable, clever, ingenuitive, and determined players I've ever met. To the point I trusted him to guide me through a lava pit while running a glitch that he accidentally discovered. He's more of a real Wi-Fis to me than this other guy is. And the thing is, I might be able to prove that right. Listening to their conversation, the two of them were planning to battle their wits to the death if that's what it took to prove who was smarter and superior. It was literally going to come down to who knew more Minecraft trivia. So I think this is my chance to use my power for something good. If I can be half as clever as the friend that I made along the way, I might be able to save him by just asking the right question. I just have to hope that Wi-Fis catches on to my plan, but Wi-Fis doesn't.
Hello everyone, today I wanted to show you a Global League match that I had. This was quite a few months ago, and I thought it was a really good game. So, I'm just gonna get right into it because I don't wanna give any spoilers or anything. Let's talk about the map a little bit. So this is like, of course, fog. It's like it's a 3 base. You got this 2 base going this way, and then this 2 base going this way, and then you got the 1 base area that has a lander, and so you can drop off over here. It's the only area that you can really drop off. And so you can start capturing, you send tanks or recon and stuff like that. And you got an airport here as well, and a pretty strong airport really. It's really forward, so you can reach here in 1 turn, or this area in 1 turn. And anti-airs are going to take forever, so definitely a lot of use for air units here. Just you can definitely spam copters a lot, and it'll be hard to keep up those anti-air numbers. And I guess at the time I was just always picking Jess. So now, tier 4, everyone's picking Jess nowadays. Over the past like year or something, it's been very meta to just auto pick Jess in any map of Fog. She is very strong in Fog, really. She really is. It's really good. There tends to be more income. Maps are very open, so tanks tend to be they tend to dominate the land of the Fog. You can just swing back and forth with tanks. There isn't that many like infantry walls, so it's not like you need infantry that much, you do need them for capturing. There's definitely a drawback for Jess, like for example interrupting captures. It's very tricky for her to use infantry for that, and it's very hard to hit KO. So I think maybe with like tank and infantry you can hit KO with Jess, but you can't use 2 infantries. Like Hatter can use the power and has 120 firepower, so you can guarantee that to hit KO with 2 infantries, or maybe Jake with the planes bonus, stuff like that. I really did not give any thought to my CO pick. I just went with Jess. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll just go Jess, and I'll figure it out. And I was really surprised when I saw my opponent, Sidewinder, who is a really good player in Fog. I think that's the only mode that they play. And picked Adder. I was like, whoa, Adder. And nowadays, no one picks Adder. It's very map dependent. There's a few maps.
Over the past 5 years, Dark Bribe has pretty much become synonymous with scrubs in Yu-Gi-Oh! And while I think that is a little harsh, I'm not going to say that Dark Bribe is a good card, and I in fact would even say that if you've played Dark Bribe at all in the last 5 years, you probably aren't doing very good at tournaments. Now, I'm not going to say that Dark Bribe is bad in like a casual sense. I'm sure when you're playing your friends on the schoolyard or going to your local tournaments once a week, maybe it's good there, but in terms of even the slightest competitive tournament, such as a regional qualifier, Dark Bribe is very, very far away from being good. And that's something I want to talk about today in a video series where I take a look at cards that you might have thought were pretty competitive or at least decently good and explain why no competitive players are playing them. Now let me tell you that most competitive players know about Dark Bribe's existence, and they're choosing to not play it actively. This is not something that they've just forgotten exists. They know Dark Bribe is there, and they're not playing it, and we're going to talk about why. So first of all, let's kind of talk about why Dark Bribe was good at one point. The main way that Dark Bribe is used is to negate your opponent's powerful spells in order to completely end their turn. Now this relies on 2 different format things that are not present in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't think will be present in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a long time. The first one is that decks have to be very normal summon reliant for Dark Bribe to not just immediately punish you. In modern Yu-Gi-Oh! If you give your opponent a free draw, they're almost always going to be able to use that card to then leverage into another special summon, which means you basically just didn't...
What the fuck am I supposed to do here?
You negated a card, but you just gave them a card to use anyway, which means that you just -1 because you're not doing anything with the card you negated. But if your opponent's deck is all normal summons, and the spell card you negate is really powerful, then there's a situation where Dark Bribe and they pass, and that's sort of the ideal situation. So that means that the second criteria for Dark Bribe being good is that spell cards and trap cards, even though Dark Bribe is commonly used for spell cards, both those cards have to have more value than monster cards, and that has not been true for a long time. If you look at when Yu-Gi-Oh! First came out, spell cards and sort of trap cards were the main ways you were killing your opponent. Cards like Graceful Charity and Pot of Greed and Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, those were the powerhouses of your deck. You were killing people with Blue Eyes White Dragon in terms of damage, but the way that you maintained and regained board control was all through spells and traps, which makes a card like Dark Bribe very good. However, I mean, for the last, probably 5 years, maybe a little less than 5 years, maybe 4 to 3 years, monsters have been the way to go. While spells are played in decks and traps have sort of fallen out of favor more and more over the past couple of years, monsters are the way that you're doing things, and often spell cards are only there
to extend your monster card plays or to get you to the monster cards that can do your combos in the first place, which means that if you Dark Bribe a card, you're most likely giving your opponent the card that they were using the spell card for anyway. What I'm trying to say is that Dark Bribe is bad against decks where all 40 cards are powerful, and in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! That's absolutely true. In every single Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck that's competitive, all the cards in the deck are good. Now there's going to be some fluke interactions with cards like if you Dark Bribe a Brilliant Fusion and your opponent draws Garnet, but overall and in general, when you Dark Bribe a card, you're just giving your opponent another resource, which brings me to my next topic of discussion of why Dark Bribe is not good, and that is that a -1 can come in multiple different ways. Dark Bribe gives your opponent a card, but I'm going to argue that the better -1 play would literally be Magic Jammer. In every single scenario, I would rather, and most competitive players would rather lose a card than give their opponent a card. There are plenty of really great -1s in the game. Foolish Burial, Book of Moon, stuff like that, where you lose a card to gain tempo, and in the case of Dark Bribe, it's actually the exact opposite. You're giving your opponent a card. Where a card like Magic Jammer, while obviously not super competitive here, I would rather play Magic Jammer over Dark Bribe any day, and I really mean that. Losing the card is definitely a lot less hurtful than giving your opponent one for free. I mean, they don't even have to earn what you're giving them. You're giving it to them for free. It's ridiculous. A good example of this is the recent card that came out called Recall. Now, Recall is essentially Dark Bribe, but for monster effects, and I've seen some budget players talking about playing this card, which I think is completely asinine because it's bad for the same reason that Dark Bribe is, except that it is bad even more because there's way better cards that fill that slot. See, in the case of Dark Bribe, there aren't a ton of cards that really fill a slot, but in Recall's case, there is literally Divine Wrath, which discards a card instead of giving your opponent a card, but they both negate monster effects, and I would argue that Divine Wrath is much better than Recall, and we can even look that in past formats before Solemn Strike came out, Divine Wrath was actually a pretty common tech choice in Burning Abyss decks because they could make use out of the discard. Now, I mentioned Solemn Strike, and that's sort of what I want to mention now, is that in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And in almost every single card game, now I've only played Pokemon and Hearthstone and Yu-Gi-Oh! So I don't really know how Magic goes, but I assume it's the same. Life points, or whatever that game uses as life points, are always preferred to lose instead of card advantage. Now, what I mean by this is that it's almost always better to lose life points than lose cards. And that might not sound so simple to casual players because you're thinking, well, if you lose your life points, you're going to lose the game. But here's what ends up happening. If you trade your life points instead of losing cards, you can then regain control of the match and then not actually lose. Because while it is true that you need to, or that if you lose all 8,000 life points, you lose the game, the only life points that actually matter is the last 100 life points, or the last 50 life points, or if we're really going extreme here, the last 1 life point is all that matters. You don't need to have 500 life points to win the game. You just need enough life points that you're still alive, you put your opponent to 0. And that brings in sort of the Solemn cards. We have Solemn Warning and Solemn Strike, and even Solemn Scolding, where you're trading almost half your life points to negate any card, and there's the requirement that you cannot have others set back row, and I would still say that Solemn Scolding is a much better option than Dark Bribe. Now, I think it goes without saying that cards like Ash Blossom negate almost every single card that Dark Bribe does, and is clearly better, not only because it doesn't give your opponent a card, but also because it's much faster. I mean, you can draw Ash Blossom going second and negate your opponent's terraforming, or with Dark Bribe, it would be completely useless going second, because they would already have resolved not only the terraforming, but also the field spell that they searched in the first place. But I'm going to assume that anyone that can afford a copy of Ash Blossom is probably not looking to play Dark Bribe in the first place, just because I'm going to assume if you're spending $70 on one single card, you probably already know Dark Bribe is not a good choice. But I think that What I'm really trying to focus on here is the big difference between card advantage and life points and which one matters more. And in basically every scenario, card advantage is one of the most important things to keep track of in a card game. I know I talked about it in the earlier video, but card advantage and tempo, for that matter, are a lot more important than your life points, which kind of goes along with why a card like Solemn Scolding is a lot more popular than Dark Bribe, even if it's mainly used for negating the exact same things that Dark Bribe would be good against. So, are there decks that can play Dark Bribe? Kind of. I think the only deck in recent memory that I can think of that actually played it would be a deck that really loses to board wipes. I mean, we have Regeki and Dark Hole and Evenly Matched in the format right now, so it'd be a deck that really loses to those cards, but can't play Solemn Scolding. And the only deck that I can even kind of think that you would want to play Dark Bribe in, and even then, I don't think the deck itself is very good, but I suppose you could maybe justify playing Dark Bribe in the Barrier Statue deck. That deck is incredibly normal summon reliant and almost entirely revolves around keeping the board presence, because if they lose their board, then their opponent can special summon a whole bunch of times, and then they'll lose the game almost certainly, because they don't have a lot to sort of come back with. So I guess I can say Dark Bribe is kind of okay in that deck. Not only for stopping Regeki and Dark Hole, but also like Twin Twisters, just because of how crucial a Moon Mirror Shield is to keeping your resources alive. And obviously they can't play Solemn Scolding because they have a lot of back row. But other than that deck, which I already mentioned, I don't actually think is a very good deck at the moment. There's basically no strategy that would ever consider playing Dark Bribe in. Yeah, there are some funny interactions with Dark Bribe in Elemental Heroes, because if you Dark Bribe your opponent, you can then use Masked Hero Darklaw to instantly banish a card out of their hand, but even that use isn't really that good, because it only turns Dark Bribe into a 1-for-1, and once again, it gives your opponent another resource. So yes, you're sort of hitting a card out of their hand with Darklaw, but you're also giving them a card in the process, which isn't very good. I would even say that in Counter Fairies, you definitely don't want to play Dark Bribe, because you have 1,000 other better options that you can avoid the costs of, and Dark Bribe is just not good enough to stay up to date with that deck, because there's just way better options.
Giant ass
Even in
Yu-Gi-Oh
a deck
arena.
that really wants to play a ton of good counter traps, you're not playing Dark Bribe in, which I think goes to show that this card is just not going to be good ever again. But maybe if the game slowed down enough, I mean, this is never going to happen, but if the game really slowed down enough to the point where every deck is just normal summoning cards, and for some reason we only have normal monsters, and then the spells and the traps are like the best cards of the format, maybe in that case Dark Bribe would be good, but probably not. So anyway, if you're playing Dark Bribe, maybe consider some of the other cards I've mentioned. Spells and traps in general aren't that